Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss one of the important PEGA topic, that is nothing but PEGA security. So how we can implement PEGA security and what are the ways to implement the PEGA security. So these things we are going to discuss today. Okay. So the security implementation in PEGA is to maintain availability, integrity, and confidentiality. So what do you mean by availability? And so how the security will be making the availability and how it is going to be making the integrity and confidentiality. So in one word, availability means if you are having the application is more secured, then your application will be available 24/7 without any issues. Otherwise, there is a possibility of the server down, otherwise the hacking of the system. Okay, so the misuse of the your client details or else the company information. Okay, so that can be possible. And integrity. So what do you mean by integrity? That means the external parties, the hackers, will not be able to modify it. And confidentiality. So confidentiality means the external users or else applications or else the hackers cannot access it. So that is like confidentiality. Availability, so it should be on the web application should be available 24/7. Integrity means nobody should be able to access without authenticate or authorization. And confidentiality means nobody can access the information. Okay, so there are mainly 4 areas in PEGA security can be implemented. So what are those 4 areas? Okay, one is the data encryption, and the other one is the authentication, and the third one is the authorization, and fourth one is the auditing. So these are the 4 areas on which we need to implement the security. Okay, so how we can implement it? The very first one is the data encryption. Okay, so this data encryption, it is going to protect sensitive data within your application without affecting the functionality. Okay, it is going to secure the sensitive information. Okay, so what is that sensitive data? So this encryption type used to encrypt and decrypt customer sensitive data like passwords, social security number in US or other countries. And in India, PAN, Aadhaar, credit card number, account number. So these are more of sensitive data. So which is should be maintained very confidential and more secure. Okay, so this can be implemented by using the data encryption. So encryption and decryption can be done. Okay, so how we can implement this one? So this can be implemented in PEGA by going to the configure system settings and data encryption. So let's have a look into that. So in the configure menu, system settings, and here data encryption is there. Okay, so this is the place where we can implement the encryption and decryption. So I hope you all know what I mean by encryption and decryption. So encryption means generally here the whatever the information which I am seeing like application data encryption, otherwise properties. Okay, otherwise when the application is running, we are going to providing some customer details. As we said that the passwords and user ID and credit card number, account number. So these all are the information. Okay, when I enter, it goes to the PEGA backend. It is going to storing into the PEGA database. Okay, so the moving of this information from the user interface from the client portal to the PEGA database can be encrypted and decrypted. Encrypted means that is going to be in the some special format wherein which the other people cannot even understand when it is going. So it is like a base 24 format. Okay, so ASCII codes. So that way it is going to encrypt and again it is going to sending it to the server. There it is going to again decrypt it and then it is going to saving into the database. Again, when the user access it, so again that decrypted data will be again converting into the base 64 format. That means again encrypting, and then when it is displaying to the user, again it is going to display in the normal format. That is again okay decrypting like that. So the data when it is traversing from client to the server and from server to the client. So first of all, it is going to encrypt and then decrypt it. Okay, so that encrypt and decrypt can be done. Okay, select the encryption type here. So platform cipher and custom cipher. Okay, platform cipher means okay, PEGA platform format, and the custom cipher means we can implement our own format. Okay, yeah, 1 second, looks like it got yes guys, I'm using the PEGA cloud environment. The session got timed out. Okay, so here we are using system settings and again data encryption. So under the data encryption, you will be getting this one, and here we have the platform cipher and custom cipher. Okay, so if you select the platform cipher, okay, and even the custom cipher, okay, so we need to cite a specific cipher class. We need to specify the class which we will be implementing this encryption and decryption our own. Okay, whereas in the platform cipher, okay, we need to specify the key store. Earlier, I think I made a video. Okay, people can check that how to create the key store and again implement it. Okay, so force data key rotation and application master key usage history. So here also the PEGA platform we are using system data encryption. Okay, otherwise again we can select the key store and again same select the key store here also we can implement that. So this is the way we can do the encryption and decryption. Okay, so this is one way for implementing the data encryption, and the second one is the authentication. Okay, so authentication means I hope you all know that giving the access to the users to who can access this. Okay, who can log in into the application. So only the users and systems whose identities have been verified can access the application. Okay, web pages, APIs, and data. Okay, so whether your data, otherwise your services, your web pages, and your APIs, okay, application can be accessed only by the users. Okay, and the systems whose identities have been verified. Okay, so this can be implemented with user logins by PEGA or external identity providers and SSO. Okay, single sign-on. Okay, so we can implement this authentication in these ways. And there are various authentication types available. Okay, so and they are like okay basic credentials. So in general, we will be logging into the PEGA application, otherwise any of the application like the bank sites, ICICIbank.com or else Amazon.com, with the user ID and password that are stored in the PEGA platform DB or in another internal or external DB. Okay, so this is like a normal user ID and password. And the other authentication type which we have is the SAML 2.0, an external identity provider that supports the SAML 2.0 protocol such as the Microsoft Active Directory. Okay, so this is the another way. And the third one is the OpenID Connect. So this is also an external identity provider that supports the OpenID Connect, OIDC protocol. So through this protocol, we can implement the accessing of the application like user ID and password. Okay, that is the authentication, the token credentials. A token that is validated by an external identity provider or by the OAuth 2.0 authentication layer. And the anonymous is there. So this is supports the activity by guest users, like an authenticated user can add items to the cart and enter credentials when they check out. Even in the Amazon also or Flipkart also, without logging into the portal, we can add it to the we can add it to the cart. Okay, but if you want to buy it and if you want to give the your payment and then give the delivery address, everything, then we need to log in into the application. And along with that, we have the custom. So we can write our own logic to check the credentials and validate it. So that can be done by using the LDAP compliant directory server and Kerberos. So a network authentication protocol that is also based on the tickets. So these are the ways by which we can implement the authentication. Okay, and then the third one is the authorization. Okay, so authorization ensures after logging in, users have access to only the features and the data that they need for their work. And PEGA supports 4 types of the authorization. Okay, PEGA supports 4 types of the authorization. Okay, so the first one is data encryption. The second one is authentication. Authentication means the user already logged into the application. Now the authorization. So authorization means after login into the portal, we are going to restrict the user to access only specific functionality, not the complete functionality of the application. Okay, so there are again 4 ways to implement this authorization. Okay, role-based access control, attribute-based access control, client-based access control, and then basic access control. Okay, so in general, the people will be saying that what are the ways to implement the authorization. The people will be telling role-based access control and attribute-based access control. But we have client-based access control and basic access control as well. Okay, from PEGA 8.5, we have the basic access control. Guys, I have seen there are few comments by the people saying that I think this guy has rewriting the PEGA, so that is the reason why these things he is telling. No, man. Actually, these are the PEGA new features which I'm going to telling you. I'm not going to rewrite any PEGA, and this client-based access control and the basic access control also given by PEGA. Okay, in the PEGA 8. Okay, if you want, you people can verify in PDN. Okay, so these are the 4 ways now we have to implement the authorization. And authorization through RBAC. So what is RBAC? As I just told you, that is the role-based access control. Okay, so how we can implement this role-based access control? So we can use RBAC to define the actions that one role has authorization to perform on a class-by-class basis, including class-wide actions such as running activities or reports. Okay, that means after logging into the portal, okay, the user will be having access to run only specific activities or specific reports. Like manager will be having some access and the clerk will be having some access in the same application. Okay, and record level actions also we can perform, such as opening, modifying, and deleting. Okay, so if you want to access specific customer details like opening a record and modifying a record and deleting the records, that is also can be done through this role-based access control. And the third one is the rule-specific actions that are governed by the privileges. So even through privileges also, we can implement this role-based access control. Okay, so this role-based access control, how we can implement after giving the user ID and password. Now, you may be having n number of the applications on the server. So which application should be able to access by the user? So that things we can specify in the access group, and the access roles also we can give. And then through the access of role to object, and then the privilege, okay, and then the class. On this class, which records, which roles has to be accessed by the user, and then access when rule, okay, and then access deny rule. So these things, by using all these rules, we can implement the role-based access control. So in general, the operator will be referring to the access group, the access group will be referring to the role, and then through the role, okay, we can apply the access of role to object, and then it will be referring to the class, on which class the user can open the rules, modify the rules, delete the rules, and they can perform this, they can do the reporting, and then they can see the history also. Okay, so all these things again can be done through the privileges, and they all are the rules, access when rules. Okay, so access when rules, and this class can be accessed based on the when condition. Okay, it can be either deny, otherwise you can give the privilege to go ahead. Okay, so like this, to implement this role-based access control, these are the rules which can be implemented, which can be used. Next, the other one is the attribute-based access control. Okay, in the authorization, attribute-based access control. So we can use ABAC to restrict a user to view, modify, and delete instances of a class or properties within the classes. Okay, so they can view or modify or delete instances of the class. Means, for example, I have a work class, okay, for one of the bank. So for creating the new instances, to modify the existing customer details, or else to delete the customer details, so those things can be done through the ABAC. ABAC to enforce row level and column level security in application. Row level as well as column. Row means each record will be the one customer detail. Okay, otherwise one transaction details. And even on that particular record also, okay, customer ID, he should not be able to modify. PAN number also he should not be able to modify. But the address details should be able to modify. In that case, we can apply the column level security also. Okay, so how we can implement this? So through the access control policy, and then access control policy conditions, and then access when rule. By using these three, we can implement the ABAC authorization. Okay, So how exactly? So if you go to the records, you see access control policy is there. Okay. Under the records of security category, we will have the access control policy, access control, access deny. 1 second. Okay, we have opened, I think. Yeah. Okay. So access deny rules. So these things we can create it. Access control policy condition. Actually, here access control policy and access control policy condition is there. Okay. So these are the, you see, access control policy condition, access control policy. Okay. So by using these three, we can implement attribute-based access control. Okay. So these are some of the access control policy rules available. Okay. On which we can do, we can restrict the user. Okay. Which he should be able to modify like that. Okay. And even while creating this access control policy also, you see here. Okay. ABAC test. In this, okay, what purpose you are doing? Okay. Let me create the new rule and see. Okay, so this is the existing one, we will update. Okay, in case if you want to create the new one, access, actions create. Okay, here let's give ABAC test. Okay, and then here what action you want to perform? Whether you want to read the record, you want to update the record, you want to discover, or you want to delete, or property read, or property encrypt. Okay, property read or property encrypt. Okay, like for example, you would be seeing, okay, social security number. Otherwise, when you are entering the credit card number, the first 4 digits, or else when you are entering the Aadhaar number. Okay, Aadhaar number is the 12 characters, right? In that case, the first 8 digits should not be visible, only the last 4 digits should be visible. So in that case also, we can select this property encrypt. Okay, and that is on which class? Okay, the property is available in which class? For example, okay, my class is there under the work class of this my org and my PEGA trial and then work. So I'm creating this property in this. Okay. So here now we need to add the property, and for which property, okay, like customer ID or customer name, whichever you have. Okay. Like this. See here. Okay, so like that we can apply this policy, access control policy. Okay, so here entire instance, or else whether you want to update that particular property or else like that. Okay, if you select the property, then only you can select the property. Otherwise, the entire record it will be applied for this particular class. Okay, so here it is not accepting the property. Okay, so this is the attribute based access control. Okay, so these 3 rules can be used. Okay, and then authorization through CBAC, client-based access control. So if the application stores data that might be used to identify a person and you are subject to European Union and General Data Protection Regulation. Okay, so as per the European Union and General Data Protection Regulation, there are some rules which must be followed by the any PEGA application or else any application, not only PEGA, any application. Or similar regulations use client-based access control to track process requests to view, change, or remove data. Okay, to track process requests to view, change, or remove data. Okay, so based on these European Union, okay, General Data Protection Regulation, every application must follow some of the client-based access control specific validations, so that can be implemented, okay, through the CBAC. Okay, and then the last one under the authorization is the BAC. Okay, that is the basic access control. Okay, so use basic access control to protect application from unauthorized requests that originate from the user interface layer, such as the sections, custom controls, and harnesses. Okay, sections, custom controls, and harnesses. Okay, so this is the BAC authorization implemented from PEGA 8.5. So mainly these are the 4 ways of authorization. So this unauthenticated request will be blocked by defining 3 when rules. So if you to implement this BAC, mainly there are 3 when rules are there. PZ secure features, PY show secure feature warnings, and then PY block unregistered requests. So these are the 3 when rules. By using, we can apply the basic access control. Okay, and the 4th security implementation is the auditing. Okay, so in general, the auditing means what? We will be thinking that whatever the changes we made on the application, that will be stored. Okay, this is also called the accountability. Why it is called accountability? It is a systematic evaluation of company information systems. Okay, company information system. This is the systematic evaluation. So we are going to evaluate the system, okay, based on the company information, like who is going to log into the application and by which way he logged into the application. Okay, through service he logged in, or through the user ID and password he logged in, and even after logging into the application, what changes he made. Okay, what changes he made, the address change he made, whether he transferred the money from one bank to another bank. So what are the accounts number he linked to the bank account. Okay, so all these things, every transaction, whatever the user is performing, that will be stored. That is the auditing. So PEGA tracks many types of security events, such as the failed login. You see how many times the user tried to log in and he failed it, and how many times the password has been changed by the user. So you can optionally track many other types of security events, changes to rules and data. So all these things can be done. And the system auditing and data auditing. So this can be again divided into 2 types, system auditing and data auditing. System auditing means, as I told you, okay, logging into the system, and in case if the server down, if the server is failure, okay, so all these things will be logged in. And whereas the data auditing means the changes performed on the application user, okay, or else the transactions performed by the user, those things will be tracked. Okay, that is the data auditing, system auditing and data auditing. So mainly by using these 4 ways, we can secure the application. Okay, we can secure the application. So what is the first one? Data encryption. The second one, authentication. The third one, authorization, and then auditing. At these 4 levels, we must be very careful while implementing the application. Okay, that's all, guys. So in the next video, I'm going to cover how to implement the client-based access control and how to implement the basic access control. Okay. Till then, bye guys. See you.